piece of metal went up underneath the goggles right into my freaking eye. It's all red right now and watering, but I think it came out. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. As you can see in last week's video, it took quite a long time just to figure out how we're going to work the bed supports in the back of the bed here. We didn't want to have just a flat, higher up bed. We wanted to keep the bed kind of stock height and then bump up to a higher height to make it over the rear axle. So without wasting any more time, let's get back on the truck and get this project finished. This thing's heavy. All right, so this is going to go in like this over here. This has to clamp up underneath these bars right here. We're going to clamp those in place, get this tacked in place. So right now we've got the piece we just made clamped in place, perfectly level where we want it. So right now I'm just taking the tape measure and I'm just making sure that it's exactly where we want it. So let's get to finish welding this cross brace in right now. We're gonna weld it over here, we're gonna weld it right over here. So the back of the bed supports are done. Now we just have to do two more up on the top. Then we're gonna trim around the edges, like between here to over to here, like this. Trim around there like that, just so we have some extra support when we do put the boards in. But this is coming out really good. So what I'm doing right now with the 2x8 right here is I'm measuring from the surface where the boards are gonna sit on right here up to the bottom of the board. That will help me determine the measurement from here, from the bottom there up to the bottom of the board. When I'm over here, I'm gonna bring the board down to about this location here. Then I'm gonna drop the line straight down the exact same distance that it is from there to there, down here, here to here. And I know exactly where the height of my second support going across here is gonna be. So I'm gonna have one from the first support's right here that we just built. The second support's gonna be right around this location, which will be halfway between the front of the bed here and right here. There'll be three supports back here, just like there's three supports here, 1, 2, and then 3. I have the exact same 3 here, 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna measure the height right here, measure the height right here, and mark it. Then I know where the next beam's going. Then once those two beams are in, we'll just do the exact same thing we did back here to determine where the back support's gonna run across. And everything should be nicely level. At that point, the back came out absolutely perfect. So that's what we're gonna work on right now using this 2x8. Forgot to hit record. Oh, lovely. Now everything's falling apart on me. Gosh dang it. Oogie boogie. I'm just gonna line up one side and we're gonna make the other side match. Pretty much right here is what we're shooting for, right like that. So we're gonna throw a tack in on this one, right there, and we'll go from there. All right, just to get everyone up to date with what's going on, we've got the cross member, the riser I'm calling this, right here in place. The next one over here, we have tacked in place. And I drew a line all the way over here, this silver line right here. Get my hand out of the way. That silver line is level all the way across the back section. And I wanted to bolt these beams in here just to make sure that we're hitting the same exact spots on both sides, because you're gonna see this. You're gonna see this when it's all said and done. So if this was like a little bit lower on this side and this was a little bit higher over here, the whole bed would just look a little bit wonky. So I wanted to make sure that both of these were level right here. So right now I'm just going to finish welding in this cross brace right here on both sides. We're going to weld that into place fully. Then we're going to work on the back cross piece that goes right here. Once that one's done, all 3 cross supports for the upper bed will be complete. All 3 cross supports for the lower bed are already complete. The only thing left to do will be to work on brackets that go on the edges, so we have some support for the wood beams right in here, because the wood's going to be running the length of the truck. And I want to make sure, like on the edge here, you put something, there won't be any support there, so we're going to make sure we have some edge supports all the way around. I have some angle iron that kind of looks like the stuff on your garage door with all the holes. I'm probably just going to stick that in that spot, not from up there at the garage door, but I've got some other ones, and I'll probably just use that and weld that in around the edges just so something's in place, just to give it a little extra support. But everything else is coming out really good. So right now we're going to work on just finish welding in this cross member right here. All right, so right now we're adding in a little bit of a spacer right on top of this cross member here, because I want to be able to make sure that this, when you lay a beam right across here, it lines up with this silver Sharpie line right here. I want both sides to be even, and I want it to, this levelness here needs to kind of match the levelness down on the first floor, second floor, first floor, second floor. So I want this to be kind of, when you're looking at it up here, I want this to look parallel right there and even all the way across here. So adding a little bit of a spacer in kind of just fine tunes this cross member right here. Once that's done, we're going to clamp these 2 bars in place just like we did down here, and then we're going to weld an angle iron right across the whole front of the bed right there. And this will pretty much be all set, other than just adding in little spacers along the edges. That'll be a lot easier. This is just making sure everything's lined up perfectly like we want it. We're adding this in right now, so we're going to weld this into place. Right now we have that entire cross member right here. Should be perfectly in place. I'm going to use my silver Sharpie. I'm going to draw a line right along here so we know where that's going to be. And right along the bottom as well. Do that on both sides. Then we're going to take everything apart and clean up everything, get ready to weld together. So we've got it all marked right now. Now we're going to unhook everything, get everything out of here, and get this front of the bed cleaned up and ready for welding. We've got this all cleaned up and ready for welding right in here. Now we're going to go clean up the 3-inch angle iron, do the exact same thing, just clean the edges that are going to be welding. All right, this thing's fully cleaned up now, ready to weld in place. Before we get it actually in the truck, I'm thinking about drilling a couple holes right along the back side here. I'm gonna measure out a couple holes where I want to drill them right now. That way, if there was to water would get down in here, it'd have a hole to drain through it instead of just pooling in the bed of the truck. I think we'll do that right now. It'd be easier to drill them outside the truck, maybe in the drill press even, versus actually having to deal with these in the truck and using the hand drill to do it. I'm going to drill 5 holes in this as drain holes for the bed. If it ever comes down to where it gets water in the bed, it'll be able to flush out nicely. So I'm going to drill these over on the drill press right now. Tape measure, we're going to measure to make sure that the spacing is even from here, the top of this to the bottom, as well as top to the bottom over there. As long as they're both even, we're going to tack this in place right now. Then we can get the clamps and everything out of our way and we can fully weld it in. But it's looking pretty good just like it is right now. We'll tack the driver's side in and then we'll make the passenger side match. Let's get the welder out and get going. Let's throw a couple more tacks along here and get everything unbolted. Alright, so we're doing really good with the bed right now. As you can see, we've got the upper deck up here, and then towards the back of the truck it's lower. This lower section of the bed's only about 1.5 inches higher than what the actual bed height would be in the stock truck. I did that to give us a little bit more room for clearing the frame rail over here on the S10, because I did drop the bed down slightly more than I would have normally, because I do want the nice low looking truck. So that's why this has had to raise it up about 1.5 inches, because over here it's probably 1.5 inches shorter than what it should be. At least that's what I think anyway. So right now we're going to get everything cleaned up out of here, and I'm going to work on the little braces that go in between along the edges all the way around both sides. Once this is all complete, we're going to get on to mocking up the air tank and compressors underneath this section right around here, and then we will also worry about doing the battery trays up underneath the driver's side cab. I think that's where everything's going to go. Everything should fit really nicely now that we know where the floor is going to be. So let's get this all cleaned up right now and finish up the edge. Okay, so right now we've got everything cleaned out of the bed. The bed has the cross members all welded into place. Now we're going to work on the actual side members that go along the edge of the bed, so when the board comes up here, it's not just going to wobble up and down. It's going to have something to sit on right along the edge. So I'm going to worry about putting these in place right here, just getting those in place. Now we can at least get everything pretty much lined up. So I got 4 pieces up here and then 4 pieces down below we need to cut. I'm just going to use this piece of metal. It's the same stuff that people hang garage doors from. This is 12 gauge, so I'm going to cut pieces of this to fit into here. I'll be able to weld on inside the holes here to add some support along the way, maybe a little bit along the top, and if I need to, I can put a bolt through any of these holes to hold the edges of the board in place from underneath. We don't want to have any bolts coming down from the top along the edges, but I could bolt it in from up underneath if I put in a little screw receptacle into the board or whatever they call it. So right now, that's what we're going to work on now, is we're just going to work on measuring these here and just splicing in some pieces along the way and getting those tacked into place. So let's do that right now. So the first one I need is going to be 14.5 inches, right around there. And this side will be about 14.25. So I need a 14.5 and a 14.25. I'm going to cut those on the bandsaw and I'll be right back. So I've got 2 pieces cut, one for here, one for back here. Now I'm just going to take the marker and mark. I know this section is pretty much clean because it's all new metal, but I need to mark on this side where I need to clean up so I can weld this in place here. It's going to line this up pretty much where it's going to go, just like that. It's going to mark the top and the bottom mark, just like that. And we're going to use the flap wheel and just clean this section in right here. Once that's done, we can get those 2 tacked into place. Now we've got that all cleaned up, just going to wipe it down with some acetone so it's nice and clean, ready for welding. So do this section right here first. Set this one aside. So this is going to go in here just like this. So you need to make sure this is perfectly flush. So I'm almost thinking about just grabbing some magnets and using the magnets to hold it in place. We're gonna do the exact same thing. I'm gonna make a piece for right here. That's about 11 3/4. So we'll cut that and we'll be right back. So I've got this piece to fit right in here, just like this, just like that. So now I need to mark where I need to clean up for welding. Just have a rough idea, it doesn't need to be perfect. So we're gonna hold this in place with the magnets just like we did in the last section. now the boards will run this way. We've got edge support right on the edge here. So that way the boards will be solid on the side. I'll eventually tack this all along inside here down. But for now, all we need to do is this section here. This will be a little bit trickier because we're going around a bend. So I say we figure that out right now. So right now I have this bar clamped in place here, just so I know where I need that to be level straight across from the very back to the center here to there. This is going to get clamped in place right here, and then that's going to get tack welded in place just like that. And then we'll make the piece that goes from here to there, and then from here to here. We should be in good shape. Right there looks pretty square for this section, because I'm going to do a 90 degree right there. So I'm just going to throw a tack on that real quick. So I need to cut a piece that's going to fit right here, right in that section. We're going to do that right now. I'm going to cut a 45 on one end and measure it here to there. We'll get that welded in. Five and a half. A little taken off the edge on this side will be perfect. So get that cut right now. Alright everyone, so as you can see we got all of the side pieces inserted exactly where we want them and welded into place. So the passenger side now is 100% completely done. The cross members are now 100% completely done. So the only thing left to do now is to do the side pieces over on the driver's side. We're going to do that right now, so let's do it. All I'm doing with the vise is I'm taking this, because this is a 90 degree bend right here. I'm putting it in the vise like this, just like that, relatively even. I'm just starting to clamp it closed. And when this vise closes, it bends that 90 to like this. And that worked good on the other side, so we're gonna do it on this side, just like this. So now it's no longer a 90. So this section right here should flow with that fender coming down and around. So let's check this over on the fender. See if this is any better, if we need to bend it out a little bit more. It's actually pretty good right there. So we're going to clamp this into place and get it welded into place. Alright everyone, that's going to be a wrap for this video. As you can see, we got the bed supports for the wood bed 100% completely finished and fabricated in the back of the truck. We have a lower bed section in the back that's only about 1.5 inches higher than the stock bed in this truck. It then steps up about 5 inches and then continues back all the rest of the way to the front of the bed. That way we can clear the air suspension, we can lower the truck all the way down, and we still utilize as much bed as we can. So as always, if you like this video, give it a big thumbs up, smash that like button, smash that notification icon so you know when I do post future videos, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.